How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sunday, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. Friday here on the program, you know what that means. We have got a lot to talk about here today, not the least of which is the ratings for Dynamite. We got some minute-by-minute notes on the MJF deal. 2 WWE pay-per-views coming up this weekend. If you're a fan of NXT 2.0 or, at this point, Raw, because we have no SmackDown matches so far for Hell in a Cell, we'll tell you about all of those here today. The latest on Lacey Evans, which I laughed uproariously about. A bunch of stuff happened at New Japan, Best of the Super Junior Finals. We've got some returns, so we can talk to you about that today. Update on Jeff Hardy and much, much more. In the final segment of the show, Nick Aldis is going to join us here today. And we'll talk about the NWA, a lot of other stuff as well, and it's going to be fun. I'm going to do my best. I don't know if you can hear or not, but I'm pretty congested. I actually feel way better than I felt yesterday, but my head is full of gunk. Been coughing a little bit, so I'm not at my best, but damn it, I'm here and ready to go. So if you want to contact us, 425-780-7566, help carry this show. 425-780-7566. Bryan at WrestlingObserver.com, at Bryan Alvarez on Twitter, and also F4W Online on Cameo. I got nothing to do, so if you want a cameo, that would be a great time to do it. But Mike Sempervive is going to join us after the break, and we're going to talk all of the news and get into all of this. So stick around, everybody. We'll be back here in a couple of moments. Going to take a quick commercial break because I'm going to hear that music at any moment here on Wrestling Observer Live.
AEW Double or Nothing is going to be taking place later this month, so I decided to bring back my trivia video. That is right. Today we got AEW Double or Nothing trivia. Let's go ahead and play. Question number 1. Who did Hangman Adam Page eliminate to win the 21-man Casino Battle Royale at AEW Double or Nothing 2019? A. Joey Janela, B. MJF, C. Orange Cassidy.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Alive. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Yes, for those of you asking, I feel much better than I sound. I actually sound the worst so far, but I feel the best so far. So I don't know what to make of that, but
you're almost over the hump. That's what that means.
I sure hope so. Yesterday was actually, I had a low fever, and God, I was so hot all day, and I'm stuck here in this room, and for once in my life, like it's been nothing but cold since the beginning of the year, and then of course on the one day that I want to open the window for some air, it's like in the 70s, so I'm just baking, which is why you heard frogs last night. I left the window open during the Bryan and Vinny show. But I'm on the comeback trail, everybody. I am on the comeback trail.
Rally back. It's the weekend, brother.
Oh, yeah. I'm rallying back to 2 WWE pay-per-views.
Well, your wife will be happy you feel better so she can take some of the pressure off the kids, dealing with that.
Wednesday's Double or Nothing Fallout episode of Dynamite. 969,000 viewers on TBS, up 4.3% from last week. Best audience for the show since April 13. 18 to 49, Dynamite finished second with a .40, which was up 14.3% from last week. Dynamite's best number in the demo since March 23rd. Bunch of other notes right here, but I know what everyone's asking about. You're all asking about MJF. And first, we had the quarter hours yesterday. And if you guys saw the quarters, we talked about it, I think on the Bryan and Vinny show. I do all these shows. But what happened was the MJF promo was split over 2 segments. And the first 2/3 was in one segment. And the final 1/3, if my math is correct, was in the next segment. Okay? So, the segment that contained 2/3 of his interview was by far the highest rated thing on the show. The segment that contained the second half, or the second third of his promo, plunged down and ended up being the lowest rated thing on the show, the least viewed. So 2/3 was in the most viewed, 1/3 was in the least viewed, okay? So of course, it's the internet, and everybody has their side, whether this was good or bad or whatever. So everybody, people were using that to prove it didn't work and everything like that. So what we were waiting for, obviously, was the minute-by-minute numbers, which Brandon Thurston released yesterday. We now have them. And what happened, which is actually what I figured would happen, the entire MJF promo was the most watched thing on the show, by far, from beginning to end, okay? As soon as he called Tony Khan, whatever he called him, because for most people it was bleeped, as soon as they went to the commercial break, that's when everybody tuned out. And if you've ever paid any attention to the quarters, if you do a segment that has 2 commercials in that segment, which that segment did, they went to commercial, and they came back and they did some stuff, and then they started a match, and the match went to commercial for picture-in-picture. There were 2 commercial breaks during that segment. You are not going to have a quarter with 2 commercial segments that is not going to absolutely fall off a cliff, which is what happened. So if you want a place to blame on MJF, I'm sorry to tell you that his promo was the most watched thing on the entire show. Now, of course, people are going to argue, well, everyone tuned out afterwards. Well, you can make whatever argument you want. The reality is we have no idea if this is going to work or not. It just happened. Doesn't matter what the promo is, doesn't matter what the angle is. Nobody knows how something is going to work until they do the follow-up and they do whatever they're going to do. So you're welcome to make all of your predictions and whether it's going to be like the greatest thing ever. Everyone's going to tune in next week to find out what happened. Or, they're going to run off all these fans. People don't want to watch. Whatever your theory is, we don't know. We're going to find out based on the follow-up starting I mean, maybe a little bit with Rampage, but my guess is next week on Dynamite. So those are the numbers, and you can do with those what you will if you want to. But I would recommend against it.
Have you survived the slings and arrows over the last couple of days of being called out of touch or old or a contrarian that everybody else liked that promo except for you, Bryan Alvarez? You're just doing this on purpose.
Bro, what does everyone even talk? If anyone said that, they're an idiot. But I've dealt with that a lot of late. Dude, I said, like, his delivery of that promo was phenomenal. It was absolutely fantastic. But if you're going to sit here and pretend like there is no risk here, if you're going to sit here and pretend that him trying to cut a full heeled promo and getting cheered is not the promo. You can do that if you want. Like, that's fine. You can do that. But it's what happened. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, his delivery was phenomenal. I never said anything negative at all about his delivery. He has probably the best delivery of anybody in all of wrestling when it comes to cutting promos. But don't act like there's no possibility that something could go wrong here. Like, well, virtually every other time this has ever happened, it hasn't worked. But this time, man, Bryan, if you think it's not going to be a home run, you're old and out of touch. Well, that's foolishness. Now, granted, most of these people are foolish, so who cares?
You hate fun.
No, I don't.
Oh, man. It's almost the weekend, though. We're almost done with this for now.
No,
and you don't have to look at social media at all until you start doing your full review in time of the NXT pay-per-view or pay-per-view special live premium event coming up on Peacock, which I know you're excited for.
Bro, I never said it wasn't entertaining. What is wrong with people?
I know.
Honestly, what is wrong with people? Bro, on Observer Live yesterday, the first segment of the show, I don't think I could have possibly been more fair and given, like, both sides of this. I don't think I could have possibly been more fair. But what happens is, because everyone has to choose sides, you only hear the details
what
you want to hear.
Of course.
Irritating. And, bro, you guys are going to argue that Wardlow wasn't, like, overshadowed by this? Is anyone really going to argue that?
That's the funny one to me. That's the hilarious one to me, is that the Wardlow did not come out of this looking, the way he should be that next night, and coming out of this and having somebody who, look, if you're going to powerbomb a guy 10 times, you're going to kill him dead, you're going to put him out on a stretcher, like, he may want to sell something the next day. If this was WWE, those same people would be, bitching and moaning and complaining that this person didn't do this. And it's like, it's just crazy. And to make the excuse, well, you would WWE does this. Is that what you want to do? Is that what you want to be? Wasn't the whole point of AEW starting up to not do what WWE does and drives people nuts and actually have, forget it.
Lacey Evans is probably going to debut on I shouldn't say debut.
Plans change, Bryan. Plans change.
No. Yes, Lacey Evans is actually at SmackDown right now. I don't know if she'll be on the show, but she's there. And if you recall, she was on SmackDown, and then she was moved to Raw, and then she was announced as debuting on Raw, and then she didn't debut on Raw, and now she's been moved to SmackDown. I am always the bad guy when it's so patently obvious. They have no idea what they're doing, ever. So anyway, now she's back on SmackDown, and, I guess we'll see what they do. I'm not even bother speculating. I mean, maybe she'll be a heel, maybe she'll be a babyface. At this point, who cares? I mean,
so
I'm over it. I got really mad one day, but, like, that's the great thing about having a show like this is I can get really mad about something, and then I just don't care anymore. It's actually great.
It's cathartic. So, get it all out of your system, and then that's that.
So she'll be on SmackDown, probably as a heel, because, why not?
Why not? Yeah, of course.
Let's waste 5 weeks of absolutely incredible videos to just have her be a heel. I was reading more about the MJF and the CM Punk thing, and it's amazing, how many people said, Bryan, there's just no way that pipe bomb was supposed to be a heel promo. I mean, the next show was in Chicago. It's like, guys, hello, wake up. You think, oh my God, have we not had decades of history that, oh my God.
But there's, big recency bias here, It's like the people that said WCW did this, but they never had any good times. They never had anything successful happen. And it's like, Well, they kind of did.
CM Punk said it was designed to be a heel promo. Listen to the announcers after it happened. Is they're trying to bury CM Punk and ask why the fans are booing him? Or cheering him? It's, golly, help me. Back in a moment with something other than that. Observer Live.
Or D, none of the above? The correct answer is MJF. Question number 2. True or false? At AEW Double or Nothing 2019, the Young Bucks defeated the Lucha Brothers for the AEW Tag Team Championship. The answer is false. While the Young Bucks did defeat the Lucha Brothers, it wasn't for the AEW Tag Team titles. It was actually for the Triple A Tag Team titles. Question number 3. Who won the Casino Ladder match at AEW Double or Nothing 2020? A. Scorpio Sky, B. Darby Allin, C. Orange Cassidy, D. None of the above. The correct answer is none of the above. The winner of the Casino Ladder match was Brian Cage, who made his AEW debut that night. Question number 4. How many AEW Double or Nothing matches from 2019 through 2021 have received a 5-star rating? A, 0, B, 1, C, 2, D, 3. The correct answer is 1. And it was the first AEW Double or Nothing event in 2019. It was the match between Cody versus Dustin Rhodes. It received 5 stars. Question number 5. How many title changes have occurred between the 2019 Double or Nothing and the 2021 Double or Nothing? A, 1, B, 2, C, 3, D, 5 or more. The correct answer is 3. At Double or Nothing 2020, we saw Cody win the AEW TNT Championship after defeating Lance Archer. Hikaru Shida also won the AEW Women's Championship after defeating Nyla Rose that night. And at AEW Double or Nothing 2021, we saw Dr. Britt Baker defeat Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's Championship. Alrighty, that's a wrap for part 1 of the AEW Double or Nothing trivia. I will be back with a part 2. Enjoy the rest of Wrestling Observer Live.
I cannot believe sometimes. All these years and people haven't learned. Don't harass me about what to talk about or I'm not going to do it. Leave me alone, especially when I'm sick. Now, with that said, I want to mention something about the best of the Super Juniors, okay? And, listen, to be fair, I didn't watch any of it. I pulled an MJF. I ain't watching no New Japan.
Oh.
Which, by the way, the impression I've been given is that wasn't a heel line. Guy hates New Japan. But anyway.
He really is taking all Cornette's material.
So, I may as well get more heat while I'm at it.
Go ahead, do it.
Bro, Hiromu won again.
Yeah, well.
Even Jingo here, who's like a huge Japanese pro wrestling mark, even he got it wrong. This is not Hiromu's 3rd time winning the best of the Super Juniors. It's his 4th time since 2018.
Hey, he's
Bro,
arguably the best Super Junior in the world.
I love Hiromu, okay? I love Hiromu. I love Okada. I love Naito. I love rattle off the list of guys. And granted, yes, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Yes, it's hard to get people in and out of Japan until just very recently. But, bro, it's the same thing when they had that big stadium show. And it's like, what are we going to do for the IWGP title? Okada Naito. Bro, how many times can I see that match? How many times can Hiromu win the Best of the Super Juniors? Like, dude, there were some talented dudes in that Best of the Super Juniors. And I just feel like it's the same stuff over and over and over and over and over and over again. Now, hopefully, this is all about to swing wildly.
Oh, boy.
Because now,
positive thoughts.
No more quarantine. Mm-hmm. Like, we can get people from AEW. We can get people, like, Jay White's no longer doing Impact. He's just going to be back full-time doing New Japan. Like, we're going to get a lot of new names and faces and et cetera in there. But, bro, I need something different, dude. I mean,
well, I have brought up Gato's booking for quite some time, and we've been into it over that, and I thought there was a way you could.
And by the way,
in.
one thing real quick. It's not only the fourth time that Hiromu has won the Best of the Super Juniors, but it was the same damn final that we had 2 years ago. My voice box is falling out.
Look, some of these people,
fourth.
Some of these folks that are some of these guys that are coming.
You thought my voice sucked before. Golly.
There goes puberty. That just may be a Band-Aid, though, on some of the things that we have been driven nuts about. We'll get some new faces in. We'll get some familiar faces we haven't seen in some time. But some of the booking, a lot of the booking that has gone on with Gato has not been good. Too much reliance on the Bullet Club, which now we see another member added to the Bullet Club, Ace Austin. And is now got to be a Bullet Club member because you need to have a zillion of them. So I do have concern. Again, much like the MJF CM Punk deal within that promo by MJF, I'm willing to give it some room to breathe. But when it comes to New Japan, I'm only going to give it so much room to breathe here before they can try to turn around and make something happen here, because the House of Torture Bullet Club stuff is way, way, way too much. And I know they have wanted for quite some time. Hiromu, who's talked about for a long time, I want to be the New Japan IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion and main event one of the Dome shows. I hope this is the year, because he has got to get out of that division, become a heavyweight, just get out of there altogether. There's nothing else to accomplish. And when you watch that tournament, and I know you didn't, when you see the names that are there, the new names that have come in, like your Wheeler Yutas and like guys like that, guys who have been there, like El Phantasmo, who's been fantastic, and the fact that I would argue the best junior heavyweight in the world is El Desperado. I mean, you have enough guys there. Taiji Ishimori and El Desperado can, on their backs, completely run that side of the junior heavyweights with the new names coming in and other people getting built up. Hiromu doesn't need it. So I hope this is going to be it. I'm willing to go till January 4th or whatever it is, the 6th, whatever the third day is going to be, and be all right with it. But like, he has got to get out of that division, do something in the heavyweight division, because somebody's going to have to replace Naito at some point too, because he's being held together by tape right now. And I always, I'm constantly waiting for Hiromu to not take his spot, but to kind of slide into it more, and we see a little less Naito. And we'll have to see how it goes, but New Japan's booking, just because new guys are coming in, we've talked about it, and guys coming back, does not automatically make things better. The booking has been atrocious for a while.
Couple of returns of the show. Kenta is back. Jay White cut a promo before the semifinal, announced Kenta's return. He says, I know we're a little short-handed today. The Machine Gun Carl Anderson couldn't make it. He's out with COVID. Juice Robinson couldn't make it either. He's out with, what the hell? What did he have? I forget. He had something. One? Juice Robinson.
Appendicitis.
Yeah, that's right. But I do have one surprise, and it was Kenta. He has not been around since January 5th, when he suffered a dislocated left hip, a broken nose, tendon damage to his finger, and severe lacerations to his back in that ladder match with Tanahashi. which, I mean...
So that's why he's not going to be a Tournament of Survival this weekend
anybody
for GCW.
Not know that was coming? Not that he was going to get that hurt, but...
Well, I mean, come on now. You can't... Look, there have been guys who have done a lot bigger stunts and gone through a lot more stuff and actually not been hurt, but...
Well, yeah, but the whole point going in was, why are these two great wrestlers being put in this garbage match? They damn near killed poor Kenta. And then also we had the return of Sanada, who is recovering from a fractured orbital bone, suffered in the New Japan Cup in a match with Will Ospreay. So he is back as well.
Looks fantastic in a suit, doesn't he?
We need some names, brother.
What do you think about Sanada?
Folks coming back.
The times you've seen him, because I always disagree with Adam Summers on this, on the Big Audio Nightmare, which you can find at f4wonline.com. I think Sanada has always been missing something. You look at him and you think, this is a guy.
Adam argues this?
Well, he is a Sanada supporter. So
well, I am too, but I mean, it's patently obvious he's missing something.
He's missing something, and it's there. The connection, the crowd loves him, but there is a connection issue somewhere there. And you look at him, and it's like IWGP Heavyweight Champion, a contender for sure. He can work his ass off. You see the matches with him and Zack Sabre Jr. He's very, very good. He just needs something, and that's another thing. Hopefully the booking can, whatever that thing is, he needs it now, because now that he's been out, he's coming back, going after the U.S. title. This is kind of do or die for him as far as him ever being really being a serious threat to actually win and hold on to the IWGP title.
My issue with Sanada is in storyline, he's an idiot. How many times this guy almost had the win with his Dragon Sleeper, and he lets go of it to go miss a moonsault? How many times I've seen that? It's like, brother, stop trying the moonsault. I don't care if you were a big fan of Muto. You almost won, and you let go of it, and then you missed the moonsault. You dummy. Like 50 times I've seen that spot.
Start going missed instead.
He needs a manager like me.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He can do the work, and I can, hack my way through a promo. Yeah, I thought it would be really clever to offer cameos while I was quarantined.
Oh, that's right. How's that worked out for you?
You should see these cameos I'm doing. Golly.
Is there a botchamania for cameos?
There should be. It's pretty bad. Matt Hardy explained his brother Jeff was pulled from Dynamite this week. Matt Hardy said on the podcast Jeff was almost knocked out very early on in the Hardys' match against the Young Bucks. This resulted in Jeff being pulled from Dynamite. Matt said, I was happy with the match, especially considering very early on in the match Jeff was almost knocked out. So he got hurt pretty bad. That's why he was being pulled from the match in L.A. He was kind of running on fumes going through the match, so he still held up his end of the bargain pretty good in the grand scheme of things. So listen, I know a lot of people are upset about the idea that this guy got a concussion early on and they kept doing the match. And I don't like that at all. I do, however, often give talent the benefit of the doubt in the sense that they didn't necessarily know that happened. Like, I haven't talked to anybody in the match, so I don't know if they knew or not. But, like, let me tell you something about Young Bucks matches. And actually, it was AJ Styles on our show many years ago. I'll never forget this. I was at King of the Indies in 2001. And AJ Styles was going to have a match in the tournament. And, bro, this guy got in the ring, and he was in there for like 4 hours going over spots with whoever he was wrestling that night. I was like, dude, just hour after hour after hour after hour practicing and going over these moves. And then, later, a decade later, 15 years later, he goes to New Japan, and he's doing matches with the Bucks. And he explained, he goes, dude, they want to do so many things. I can't remember any of that. So I just sit there and have them tell me what to do in the match. So, Jeff Hardy is not used to doing those sorts of matches. So it's possible, because I heard that Jeff was banged up going in, okay? Which I'm sure he was if you saw some of his matches he's had. And, it's possible that they didn't realize at the time that was the issue. They just figured, like, God, this guy can't remember anything. We got to tell him what to do. There's 8 million spots in this match. So, I don't know. But I like to think that they didn't realize he was concussed immediately and then decided to go 14 minutes. I don't know. But I do like to think that didn't happen.
Well, who's supposed to be making that call? In the NFL now.
Well, it should be the referee.
Well, and
or it should be whoever notices.
Well, is there a spotter there? It's tough because you get a situation like Hikuleo. a couple nights ago where he dives out of the ring and he, DDTs himself on the floor, and then he's jumping right back up, and it's like, did he suffer a concussion? And then, again, there's different grades of concussions. Athletes get their bell rung all the time, and now we know they're like little mini concussions. But when you're in athletics, you get your bell rung, you can still go, but you never know. Sad.
Back in a moment, Observer Live.
Hey there, everyone. It's Denise Salcedo, and I am back with part 2 of my AEW Double or Nothing trivia. Let's play. Question number 1. True or false? Cody Rhodes has had a singles match on every edition of AEW Double or Nothing from 2019 through 2021. The answer is true. In 2019, he wrestled Dustin Rhodes. In 2020, he wrestled Lance Archer. And in 2021, he wrestled Anthony Ogogo. Question number 2. Who was not in the AEW Double or Nothing 2021 Casino Battle Royale? A. Wardlow. B. Dustin Rhodes. C. Penta El Cero Miedo. D. All of the above.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Nick Aldis joining us here today. NWA, always ready, is coming to the Knoxville Convention Center. Nick, how you doing today?
I'm good, Brian. It's been a long time. How are you?
It has. You've brought some class to this show.
Well, allegedly.
Now, obviously, the very first question is obviously the situation with, I guess, your main event, really. Matt Cardona suffered a torn biceps over the weekend. And what's the status of the match? What do you know?
I don't know a whole lot. I've got a call, actually, in about an hour or so. So right after I get off this call with you guys, I'll be getting ready for that. And I guess that's where I'll get kind of the 411. So unfortunately, your timing is not great. If had we scheduled this for a couple of hours later, I might have been able to lend you a bit more insight. But it is what it is. When I heard that he'd torn his bicep, my initial right away I said I bet it was catching a dive, and sure enough, that's exactly what it was, because that's how I tore my bicep in Mexico in 2015. Same thing. So it's one of the new risks, I guess, in sort of modern wrestling. Is like that's quite a common injury is the torn bicep from catching a dive, or torn pec from catching a dive, because they're commonplace. And unfortunately that was the case. So I guess we'll see what we're going to do. But the good thing is that at least it, even though it's unfortunate for Matt in one respect, it does at least create some intrigue, because as we've seen very much this last weekend from with the MJF stuff and stuff like that, sometimes people being unsure of what's real and what's not is can sometimes be quite good for creating intrigue.
I've talked to a lot of people about dives, because dives are big in wrestling nowadays. And I wanted to get your thoughts, because, it's not just catching the dive that we've seen issues with, but, there are a lot of dives nowadays that are very hard to catch. You hear the term catch, and, I don't want to call out Sammy Guevara or anything like that, but, man, he did like a twisting Phoenix splash 630 off the top of a ladder. And he crashed and burned. And, everyone that was supposed to catch him, it was like a 7-10 split. And I just watched and I thought, well, what was supposed to happen? How in the world could you possibly catch that without getting killed? And, I don't want to sound like the old man yelling at clouds, but, I mean, there is something to the idea that, I feel like a dive has to be capable of being caught. Otherwise, it's just dangerous.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And, for me, it's always been something that I've prided myself on. Is always making sure I was there. And I think, for me, I sort of cut my teeth doing that in TNA. Because it was TNA was in many ways was where a lot of that stuff was becoming more commonplace, right? We had all the X Division guys and stuff like that, and I was, especially when Doug and I were in the tag team, a lot of the time, we would find ourselves in matches where a dive was coming. So for me, my technique has always been to sort of get under the, look for the hips, get under the hips, and kind of if because it's the sort of center point of the body, and it's kind of it's a pivot point of movement. So if you can kind of make yourself big and get under the hips, and then sort of be ready to, almost be like a shock absorber, that's it's not just about being there. It's also about kind of using the right technique to be able to sort of take it. And look, I still feel weird even today, sort of dissecting the fourth wall stuff like this. But I know that people are interested in this kind of stuff. So for me, it's always been a case of take the majority of the force, try to sort of push some of it back the other way. Because then it helps you go down, it helps them stay up, and helps sort of share the impact. But I know you're right. Some of these new ones, they're tricky, because if there's a lot of rotations and a lot of twists and stuff like that, it's hard to time it. But for me, it's always been sort of look for the hips and get underneath it.
So you've been doing this now, 20 years? Is it 20?
No, not quite.
19 years?
18, I guess, 17 or 18 years. I started training with the Knights when I was 17. I sort of went full-time at 18. I'm 35 now, so.
So what, because you mentioned, still kind of feeling weird talking about the inner workings of wrestling. I mean, obviously, a lot has changed in the last 19 years. And, what do you feel about that? Because fans are very interested in it, but at the same time, I mean, it is sort of fun to not, if you've got some great storyline going on, it's sort of fun to not kind of explain what's actually going on.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really know how to explain it, but I felt that way myself. Like, you know, fans want to know what's happening, and but at the same time, it's
Right.
like part of the fun is not knowing.
Yeah, you said that fans want to know, and that pretty much is the beginning and end of it. Like that, it's a, you know, look, it's a business, it's supply and demand. There is such a there is such a hunger for the information, even if, to your point, it may actually in some cases, in my opinion, sort of take away from the enjoyment of it, or take away from the magic of it, maybe take away from the excitement a little bit. I think that, and I can't speak for the industry, obviously, but I think that overall, what I've noticed is that I think the industry overall sort of took this mentality of, well, they're going to talk about it anyway, and someone's going to break it, someone's going to stooge, someone's going to leak. So the business as a whole has been a bit more open, because they've realized that one way or another, the information is going to find its way into people who want to consume it anyway. So, like, it's a double-edged sword. I think that, again, referring back to, you know, what we've seen this past week and a bit, I think we're witnessing maybe a new age, like a new, and what I mean by that is, this might become the new way to sort of to book angles, is to sort of lean into that and use it to your advantage. It's certainly something that I've tried to do. It's certainly something that Cody and I tried to do in our angle. Was we're very open to the idea of letting people sort of interpret things however they wanted to, and then just sort of going, oh, if that's that's what you think. Oh, okay, well, I guess we'll see. You know, because there were so many real elements that created a situation where people who are a little more in the know than the average fan were sort of going, well, wait a minute, but Cody's not under contract there. He's under contract to Ring of Honor, and, you know, but do you really see them doing that? And like, but at the same time, you know, it's Cody kind of booked this event, so is he going to really, you know? It's like once we knew that we had the intrigue, that's the hardest part of booking an angle, is can you get the people to a point where they want to see the outcome, but they don't know what the outcome is going to be? Those are the two things, because, you know, I've worked for a few different bookers, right? And I'm sure that you can guess who I'm probably referring to here, but, you know, I worked for one booker for a while where a lot of the time stuff was changed just for the sake of, because no one was expecting it.
Yes.
Right. Like, and I was told, well, that's too predictable, you know, and I'd be like, okay, but just because the fans don't see this coming doesn't necessarily mean that that's what they want to see. Right. Like, you know, you've got to sort of find that happy medium, because sometimes giving the people what they want is what a promoter is supposed to do. Yes. Right. Like sometimes throwing a curveball, sometimes sort of keeping the people on their toes and doing something surprising is the right thing to do. But I think the business overall, I think the industry gets in its own way sometimes, trying so hard to do something different that they forget the fact that, you know, some people just like burgers and fries, man. You know, some people just want a really good burger and fries, and they want it, you know, they want it hot and fresh, and they want it served the way they like it. And I think that finding the happy medium of creating a situation where people are intrigued about the outcome, but still maintaining an emotional investment in the parties involved. I think you'd have to use whatever you have at your disposal to get there. And if that means leaning on some things that may or may not be really happening, you know, or things that involve the commercial aspect of the business, the personal side of the business, the contractual stuff and things like that, then I think if you just got to do it and stay healthy. But I will say this, I think that when you do that stuff, it's in many ways, from a booking point of view, it's very similar to like the first time someone dives off a balcony, right? Or the first time someone goes through a flaming table or something. It's like, well, what about the next time? You know, and now the angles that don't have all those elements in them, are they going to be as interesting and intriguing? So, you know, you got to be very careful and you got to use them very sparingly, in my opinion.
You know, as far as to do a follow-up there, swerves, I mean, that is like one of those big things where people just, you know, they love to book swerves. And I've always felt that, like, you can do a swerve as long as the outcome is something where fans think, I didn't see that coming, but that makes sense.
Right.
As opposed to, I didn't see that coming, but what? Why did they do that? So it can be done, but it takes like some foresight, and it takes, you know, leading everyone down one path, going another way, and then bringing them back to that path. So they're like, why didn't I see that coming? That makes perfect sense. That, to me, is a good swerve. Not, we're going to lead everybody in one direction, and in the very end, we're just going to do something nonsensical, and then the fans, you know, they don't feel like they've been outsmarted. What they actually feel is like, these people are incompetent.
Well, or when they feel like, okay, you guys used creative license and you just made shit up, you know, like it's because you are, you know, you're still a promoter, right? Even if you look at the business as a lot of people do now, that, oh, it's a television based business, you know, like television's most important. If that's your bread and butter, then yeah, sure it is. But I think I still believe that you have to approach it overall from the mentality of a promoter, meaning like you have to promise something and deliver it. And if it's when you don't deliver something, I don't think I'm going to be alone in this opinion. But you know, I think the main reason TNA's pay-per-views did not do well most of the time is because most of the time they felt like a long episode of the show. You know, because there were too many times where people went, okay, here's my money. Like, now give me the payoff. Yeah, people throw these terms around, right, in wrestling, like they, you know, like, but it's so funny because a lot of the time they've sort of forgotten what they mean, right? Like the payoff. I mean, it does exactly what it says on the tin. That's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to tee it up with the free television, and then pay it off, you know. And if you don't pay it off, you're going to lose the trust of the audience. And once you lose the trust of the audience, you're toast.
Well, the show's coming up on June 11th, Knoxville Convention Center, Knoxville, Tennessee. The scheduled main event, Matt Cardona and Nick Aldis. But as noted, in a few hours, we're going to know what's going on. So stand by. Back in a moment with more Observer Live.
The correct answer is Wardlow. He was not in it because he was participating in the Stadium Stampede that year. Question number 3. True or false? Kenny Omega has had a singles match on every AEW Double or Nothing from 2019 through 2021. The answer is false. In 2019, he wrestled Jericho, but the following year, he was part of the Stadium Stampede, and then in 2021, he was in a triple threat against Orange Cassidy and Pac. Question number 4. True or false? Kenny Omega has main evented every AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view between 2019 and 2021. And once again, the answer is false. He took part in the main events for 2019 and 2020, but for 2021, he was not in the Stadium Stampede match, which closed out the show. Question number 5. Name the 2 cities that have hosted an AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view. There are only 2 answers, and those are Jacksonville, Florida, and Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, that's officially a wrap for our AEW Double or Nothing trivia. Thank you guys so much for playing. I hope you guys had a good time. Other than that, enjoy the rest of Wrestling Observer Live.
show. Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Nick Aldis joining us here today. And we didn't talk about it, but LegacySups.com. I'm at the tail end of COVID right now, so I probably could have superfood green and red. Like, I could use a superfood right now.
Yeah, you could use a bit of that for sure, and maybe some recovery PM to make sure that you're getting a good, healthy night's sleep. It's one of the most effective ways to see some profound changes in your health and well-being is to get a real good night's sleep.
So, what can you tell us about this very quickly?
Oh well, it started as a side hustle, and it's very, very quickly becoming a primary hustle. We've had some great success and growth, and we launched at the very end of 2020, but really seriously launched in 2021. We've had great feedback. We've had thousands of customers, and we're now on Walmart online, and we've had we've had incredible feedback from our customers. Our return customer rate is really impressive, and so we appreciate all of the wrestling fans because we know that a lot of our initial customer base is made up of wrestling fans because we advertise through some of our pals through like Conrad and Conan and different guys like that. So we deeply appreciate it, and we're continuing to grow and scale. So please give us a try. We really appreciate it, and I stand by it. I use all the stuff myself. I wouldn't advertise something I don't use myself.
Well, LegacySups.com. You can check that out, and don't forget, NWA Always Ready is coming up June 11th, the Knoxville Convention Center, Knoxville, Tennessee. We'll find out what's going on soon. Matt Cardona, Nick Aldis, Camille, Kylan King, Jack Stain, Chris Adonis for the national heavyweight title. There's a ton of matches. And I want to wish you the best of luck with everything. I hope everything works out with you and Cardona, obviously. And hopefully we can have you on again soon.
Absolutely. Happy to. Thanks, Bryan.
Thanks so much. And, of course, thanks everybody for listening. We're out of time. We'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.